Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let's sing the joy song. When you're smiling, I'm sorry, when you're smiling. Okay. Is there anyone celebrating with us in the sanctuary for the first time today?
Yes, you do.
Yay.
Oh, okay.
Welcome. We have a visitor's folder for you. Yeah, you already got it. Okay. Awesome. Okay, let's take a moment and turn off our cell phones, or at least turn them on silent. Well, somehow when I turn mine on silent and put it in my purse, it comes back on. I don't know. There's a little gnome in there or something. Okay, today our Adornment reader is Jane Turnus, and our guest musicians are Eddie Wiggins and William Penn. Woo!
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This morning I'm going to read from a book that I have. It's called Around the Year with Emmett Fox. And it's for November 12th, which actually happens to be today, and it's titled Let God. People often say, I try to do so-and-so and I fail. The explanation for their failure is contained within the words themselves. You should never try, you should let God. When you try to do things, you are working from the outside. When you let God do them through you, you are working from the inside, and success must come. If you will reread the creation chapter in the Bible, you will notice that God creates by letting. God said, let, at every act of creation, and it was done. Now God creates by means of you if you will let Him, but you must let. Someone said, let go and let God, and this is a wonderful recipe for overcoming fear or getting out of a tight space. In any case, the rule for creation is always to let. Is there anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14.
That was lovely, thank you. Okay, if you will rise as you are able, we're going to sing our first hymn, I Sing the Mighty Power of God, and we'll sing all 3 verses.
Strength of morning.
Good morning, Nancy.
Hope everybody is doing well this wonderful, chilly, overcast fall morning. Am I on? Do you know why? Sorry, Eddie, I'm not on. I'm wearing lots of weird contraptions today. Sorry. I was wondering if this was going to interfere because I've got a phone over here, and a unit over here, and these all over my body, and this, that. So it's just kind of, I was wondering if I would like explode or something with all of this electronic stuff all over myself.
We hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Eddie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh no, what about the headphones?
He doesn't have one.
Well, why not?
Well, you have to ask him.
Eddie, put on your ears. Can you hear me now, Eddie? Good, okay. Hopefully I'll have something really good to say that you won't want to miss. That's the important part. Okay. So, life was a little crazy on Thursday. I needed to go to work because I had another cardiac event. So I stayed home and I worked on my sermon and I forgot to do a Bible verse. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, Marina. I did. I know you really like that part and it's important, but I just didn't even, I was just really glad I even got my sermon done for today. So I'm afraid there is no Bible verse through a complete and total fault of my own. I can't say through no fault of my own because it was my fault. I didn't do it. So we're just going to go straight into the statement of being. Are you ready? It's in our order of service. All together. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And now Eddie can take off his earphones, right, and play his music. Try to pull that out there.
Are you going to stand and do this, or do you want to sit? Are you going to stand and do this, or do you want to sit?
Tell him there.
I want to sit.
Yeah.
Just the microphone.
Oh, I think the other one, Maria.
Yeah,
is a
the
better
other one, Maria.
The other one's a better one.
While Eddie's getting ready, I'd like to say I'm glad to be here. And he's going to play the first song, and then I'm going to sing one for you. Right? Are we ready, Mr. Maestro?
Huh?
Are you ready?
Almost. Not quite.
couldn't be me.
Whenever it's ready, we're gonna do pour a butterfly for you. All right?
Oh, there it is.
Now I'm getting nervous.
I hope none of you have to go through this preparation. So I'll ask for your indulgence and understanding. Thank you.
If you're the bold one.
This next song is one of these that you seldom hear, but there's a little story behind this song.
No stories. Just, this is a church service, it's not a story. No story, it's a church
Are you ready?
Memories like the corners of my mind. Misty waters, color memories of the way.
Now, my wife doesn't want me to tell you the story.
Scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind. Smiles we gave to one another. All the way we were. Could it be? It was all so simple then. All has time even every line. If we had the chance to do it all again, tell me would we? And could we? Memories may be beautiful and yet what's too painful to remember. We simply choose to forget. So is the laughter we will remember. Whenever we remember the way we were. Could it be? It was all so simple then. Or has time rewritten every line? If we had the chance to do it all again, tell me would we? Could we? Memories may be beautiful and yet what's too painful to remember. We simply choose to forget. So it's the laughter we will remember. Whenever we remember the way we were. Oh, the way we were.
Where was I?
Can we meditate now?
Yeah. So I need the prayer box. Becky, if you'll bring it up and turn down the lights. We're going to change gears a little bit here. Oh, thank you. I invite you to become still. Take a couple of deep breaths and let your body know that you are moving into different energy right now. I want you to sit for a few minutes and go within. If you do not put anybody's name in the prayer box, it's all right. Just hold those people in your heart, in your mind, be thinking of them, knowing that everything that I say today that applies to us sitting here in the sanctuary also applies to every single person on your prayer list. Be still and know that I am God. I am still in thy presence, God of my being. I am quiet and peaceful, for I put my trust in thee. A great stillness steals over me, and a great calm quiets my whole being as I realize thy presence. My heart knows of thee, O Most High, within. It is still in thy presence, and it puts its whole confidence in thee alone. I meet the experiences of today with prayer and with power. Wherever I go, I am in the presence of all good. God the good is all and in all. Good goes before me and prepares my way. Surrounded and overbrooded, upheld by almighty good, my heart is filled with a great sense of security and satisfaction. Regardless of the experiences of this day, regardless of the human personalities that voice negativity, I shall not doubt, I shall not worry, and I shall not be afraid. Only the good is true. Only the good is real. Good is the only power, the only mind, and the law of my life. Let us be quiet for just a moment. And while we embrace this stillness, let us pray together the way Jesus taught his disciples. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done, on earth as it is in heaven. Thou givest us this day our daily bread. Thou forgivest us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but dost deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Okay. The name of my short lesson today is, But I'll Know. What is needed right now is a deeper consciousness of the omnipresence of God, a deeper perception of God as principle, unchanging and ever active. Everybody needs to know this. It doesn't matter which religion you profess. It doesn't matter if you claim no religion. It doesn't matter. For there is a lack of integrity showing its ugly face right now. Just watch the news. Religious institutions can even be more interested in absolution of its congregation instead of transformation of the people in its congregation. You've heard people say, well, it's really important to be seen going to church, especially the right one. We don't usually say that, because we don't believe there's a right church and a wrong church. But it's been said. I have a friend who, when he and his wife moved to Roanoke, they were looking for a church, and so they went to different churches and were checking them out. And they went into this one church, and every single person, that introduced, because everybody knew they were new, everybody. So every single person that they spoke to, the first question out of their mouth was, what zip code do you live in? What zip code? Are you kidding? And then they would say, well, what street do you live on? Even the minister asked that question as they were walking out the door and shaking his hand. They were like completely shocked. They were like, what? Well, they lived in the 24015 zip code, and that was the wrong zip code. That's Raleigh Court area. So they were totally in the wrong church. So needless to say, they did not return because they thought, well, this is just not how I want to interact with a congregation, is by zip code qualification. So not only do you need to be seen going into the right church, you have to actually be in the right zip code, the acceptable zip code, in order to even go there so that the church can maintain its image. I've never been to a church like that, but I did hear this story from my friend, and actually I was totally appalled. But it does happen out there. The business world also deals in image making. Some years ago, the director of creative projects at NBC told his advertising group that the worst word in the world was the word image. Because he said that substance and truth was really important to him, and that he did not care about NBC having a phony image. He wanted a real one. So he was admonishing them to stay away from any fake image building for NBC advertising. So, and because he said image is reputation. But what is reputation? Reputation is nothing more than what I make you believe about me. It's nothing more than what I make you believe about my organization, about my product. It's not the reality. Often, more time is spent to get a good image or to build a good reputation than in actually improving on a product or eliminating a defect in character of an organization or of a person. So it seems to me that at the present moment, this idea of maintaining a certain image gives us an important clue to the state of modern morality. And when I say this word morality, I sort of shudder because I think of Dana Carvey as the church lady. You know, giving her edict every time about what was the right and what was the wrong thing to do. Because, listen, the word morals actually comes from the Latin word mores, which means custom or accepted rightness. It's not an absolute principle. Morals are, there's nothing absolute about morals if you look at the actual meaning in the Latin of morality. It means accepted rightness, which means it's relative. So social morality is based on accepted rightness at the time. And back in Puritan America, it was considered highly immoral for you to kiss your spouse in front of your house. You were not allowed to do that. They would throw you in jail and you were going to hell. Can't do that. Now you can kiss them anywhere, at any time. Nobody cares. Have you ever heard the phrase, well, everybody's doing it? Have you ever uttered that phrase yourself? I did when I was 12. Right? When I was 12 years old. But mom, everybody's got one. But everybody's doing it. But so-and-so says it's the in thing. My mom says, if so-and-so is sticking their head in the fire, does that mean you have to too? Anybody ever hear that from their mom, ever? If the lemmings are running to the sea, do you have to just join in and just run because they're running? Okay. Harvey Weinstein is quoted in Time magazine as, I have to tell you that I was so shocked. I was sitting in the cardiologist's office and I picked up the Time magazine. I just had a few minutes, so I opened it up and there was this article. I was just like, oh, really? But this line caught my eye. I couldn't believe it. This is the quote. "I didn't know any better. This is just how we did things in the old days." I wanted to take that magazine and rip it up and throw it all over the place. Because the latest accusation was as recent as in 2015. That's not the old days. That's not the old days. But apparently that's what they did in the old days, and he brought it into the new days. It just kept doing it. So let's really not worry about what's being done, what's hip, what's in, but rather what is the best that we can do? What is our state of consciousness? There's a saying that we should not focus on being superior to everybody around us, but that we should focus on and strive to be more superior to our former self, not compete with everyone around us. There are those who say that they don't need religion, but they understand the importance of moral standards. Of course, when they say that, they don't realize that they're talking about whatever they think is relative at the time. They may say they don't need church, they don't need a church community. I follow the 10 Commandments and I let my conscience be my guide. Okay, that's fine. But so where does that get us? If you break down the 10 and understand their underlying meaning, you can find the practical wisdom hidden there. Actually, I have a handout for everyone. I taught a class called Metamorality, and it was Eric Butterworth's book on the deep spiritual wisdom within the 10 Commandments. And so in the class, we rewrote the 10 Commandments for a metaphysical new thought way. And I think it's really great. I put a little meditation in there, so we're going to hand that out afterwards. To show you, that the way they're written, yes, okay, do not lie. Well, what does that really mean? If you go deeper, there's a way deeper integrity piece in there. So anyway, I hope that you all will enjoy that. Perhaps there should be an 11th commandment. Do not lie to yourself about what you really believe. Do you really believe it? The 10 Commandments deal with one underlying theme, and that is integrity. It's interesting to note that the word religion and the word integrity come from the same Latin base, and that is, integrity means whole, undivided unity. Religion means to bind together into one, which would be a whole, it would be undivided, and it would be a unit. It's the same. So, where is your integrity? So can you let your conscience be your guide? Well, according to the definition, conscience is an acquired sense of right and wrong. It is not necessarily divine guidance. So if you're just reading the 10 Commandments just the way they're written, and you're letting your conscience be your guide, well, you could just follow your conscience right into war and feel really good about it and just kill all kinds of people. You could feel a pang of conscience because you didn't bring home the enemy's head on a pole. It's relative. You can follow your conscience only if it is truth-directed. So our need is to find spiritual awareness, to let this express through our consciousness. Then we can let our conscience be our guide if it is truth-directed. So the good life is not measured by the degree to which we conform to all the outer codes and systems that we see every day, all around us, but by the degree to which we know ourselves. And we give expression to the divine dimension within our own nature. If you measure your work, if you measure your conduct by that of everyone around you, you have taken your attention off the divine. You are living from out there in. If you conform to the standards of the thinking and living that is set by human practices in the world, you fail to live up to the best that is within you. Because there is a best, there is a better, there is a good, there is a great, there is a wonderful in there. And sometimes it just doesn't get through. So what really counts in the individual life is not what is being done this season, what's hip or what's right now, but what is the very best that you can do. Okay, so let's take honesty. It is a principle really of right action that comes from integrity. If you have integrity, being honest is not difficult. Okay, what did we learn from our parents as kids? Okay, so there's a knock on the door. Your mom says it's your neighbor Alice. She goes, talk to Alice. Oh. Joey, go to the door and tell Alice your mommy's sick. I just told my first lie. And my mom is the one who told me to do it. So we just had our first lesson in situational ethics, and we were 5. Okay? So true integrity really means meeting life as a mature spiritual being, realizing the importance of living within the bounds of spiritual principle, knowing that even if you get away with some dishonesty, you can never get away from it. For under spiritual law, you must always pay the piper. So here's a situation that might have happened to you guys maybe once or twice, or maybe never. But you're in a restaurant, you're up there paying the cashier, and she gives you way too much money back. Okay, so you gave her, you know, a 10, she thought you gave her a 20, so she gives you all this money back, you're walking out the door. Okay, now what are you going to do? If you're focused on receiving, you have a getting consciousness, then you might think, well, this is just payback for all the times I overpaid, or I overdid this, or I lost money, you know, in the car seat and somebody found it, or I left my, you know, whatever. Oh, this is mine. This must be mine. But if you know cosmic law, you know that you can't get something for nothing. And the decision is easy. You go back in, you return the money and say, you gave me too much change. And she's so excited because now the till will match and she won't get dinged for the money that you took. It's a no-brainer. You know where the line is in the proverbial sand of life, and you will not cross over that. You already know that within yourself. A man returned $1 million back to the authorities that fell off of a Brinks truck. His life was miserable for months and months after that. But not because he really needed the money and he was kicking himself for not keeping it. It was because when everybody asked him, why did you give it back? Nobody would have known. His steady answer was, but I'll know. But I'll know. Could you sleep at night knowing that you'd stolen $1 million from a Brinks truck? I couldn't. Because you're not stealing it from a Brinks truck. You're not even stealing it from the bank. You're stealing it from all the people whose money that belongs to. I mean, so for this guy, it was a no-brainer. He just returned it. But everybody around him was actually angry with him for not keeping it. Yes, you could get away with it, but maybe you can't sleep at night, so nope, let's give the money back. So integrity is actually a commitment to spiritual law. It is about our level of consciousness. It's about our level of thinking and feeling. The great truth that Jesus taught is this. We are spiritual beings no matter how much we frustrate the flow. The world is a spiritual world no matter how much our innate goodness is concealed. The underlying controlling force is spiritual law no matter what appearances may indicate. We learn to keep our eyes single with a spiritual perception that realizes and reflects oneness. So when we're preparing ourselves to go out in the day, don't let the world turn the lights on in you. Turn the focused spotlight of your spiritual insight onto the world. That means you're living your life from the inside out. Don't let people or events determine how you are going to feel, think, or act. So our goal is to practice the presence, which means keeping consciously in that flow so that we can experience that spiritual guidance, actual spiritual guidance, not just conscience, then we can experience life and love. The most important thing we need to do is to change our habit of practicing the absence of God. Well, wait a minute, you say. Well, how am I practicing the absence of God? Every time you fret and stew, you're practicing the absence of God. Every time we dwell on mistakes, we're practicing the absence of God. Whenever we harbor hurts from mistreatment, whether it's real or imagined, we are practicing the absence of God. In short, when we lose our integrity. The psalmist said, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee." So this is integrity, keeping the mind focused on the still point at the center of your being. Let's be still for just a moment. Each of us is a divine original. We are full of wonder. We are wonderful. We tell the truth about ourselves and our experiences. We look beyond appearances and identify with the whole. We get in tune with the universal creative flow. God is in charge of every situation, and we are the channel. We need to accomplish each thing in our lives. We know that the word is integrity, and so it is.
Well, hello there, little friend of mine. You've been searching for yourself for such a long time. There's so much to say. There's no need to explain. Just an open door for you to come in from the rain. It's a long road when you're on your own, and a person like you will always choose a long way home. There's no right or wrong, and I'm not here to blame. I just want to be the one who keeps you from the rain, coming from the rain. And it looks like sunny skies. Now that I know you're all right, time has left us older and wiser. I know I am. It is good to know my best friend has come home again. And I think of us, well, like an old cliche, but it doesn't matter, 'cause I love you anyway. Coming from the rain, coming from the rain, coming from the rain.
Thank you, William, that was beautiful. Now it's time for blessings of the gifts. And I just want to say, Marita, your message last week really resonated with me. And I've always had an issue with tithing 10%. And after listening to you, I thought, what the heck, I'm going to try it. So let's all say blessing of the gifts together. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent, blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
I'm going to pass the prayer basket now. And if you would pray for somebody this week, praying for others is always good for the soul.
Yes? Oh.
Good morning. Good morning. One thing about this church, we are very flexible, and we are very patient. Love is patient, and love is kind. So, anyhow, nobody moves after I give the announcements because Mr. Wiggins is going to tell a story, and y'all are going to listen. So. Anyhow, some announcements. For the ones who were not here last week, we still have the Christmas Eve ballot. So if you're planning on being here for Christmas Eve, since Christmas Eve is on Sunday, we're trying to determine whether you want to have your regular 11 o'clock service or if you want an evening service, which would be either 5 or 7. So if you have not voted and you want to vote, please do so today and hand me the ballot. And please sign it so we don't want anybody voting twice. What you need, Nancy?
The yellow papers. Where'd they go?
You didn't give them to me.
Yes, I did. I handed them to you.
No,
You were
ma'am.
supposed to fold them.
No, you didn't.
Oh my gosh. Well.
See, we're
You have to take the keys to get back in the office now.
now.
In your coat pocket. Sorry about that. I thought I'd just taken care of that this morning, but I guess I did not.
I told you we're flexible, right?
Must be all the electronics in there now.
Oh my goodness. Anyhow, back to the ballot. So if you're not planning on being here at all on Christmas Eve, don't vote because we don't want you to mess up somebody else's time that might get change the vote. But most people turned them in last week, but I know there were a few people that weren't here. So I have them in the back there. So if you didn't vote, just ask for one and I'll give it to you. Next Sunday is our, see if I can say this word, ecumenical service at 7 p.m. at the Church of Oak Grove, Brethren of Oak Grove. We need, it's our turn to do the cookies. We need 20 dozen. We need 20. Okay. I was in a really good mood this morning, but now I'm happy.
Oh, good grief. Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious, we need some good laughs. We need 20 dozen cookies next Sunday to take to the service. It's our turn to do the cookies. So anybody that is willing to bake or buy cookies, please bring them at the service next week, and then we'll take them over to the church. The service is at 7 p.m. They're asking that the cookies be on a disposable plate or platter so that they can just throw it away and we don't have to collect them back again. Also, next Sunday is our Thanksgiving breakfast potluck. So we're gonna have breakfast from 9:30 to 10:30, and after 10:30, we're gonna run around the block so you don't go to sleep during Marita service. But anyhow, bring something for breakfast for potluck. We are gonna have, Bob Dieter's gonna make French toast, and we're gonna, I know we're having French toast, grits, and sausage, so anybody wants to bring whatever else to go with that, please do so. It's from 9:30 to 10:30, next next Sunday. Sorry. Y'all confused me today. Whew, sorry. Let's see, this week's flowers are given by Marita for Lori and Mark's birthday, so thank you, Marita. Back to the tithing thing, some people asked me the other week, last week actually, you can donate online, we've talked about this before. Also, you can set up online if you want to donate, and it just will keep on, you can do it for a week, a month, you can do a one-time donation, and they'll do it. You can set it up for whatever you want. So a lot of people, I know I've got 3 or 4 people that donate. It just takes, they do it every week, and some people do it once a month. And it's just taken care of. You don't have to worry about it and say, oh, I forgot my checkbook, or I forgot my money, or whatever. So if you want to do that, you can certainly do that online. And also you can pay for anything we can pay. You can pay for the classes. You can put money on there for fundraisers, whatever. It's just do the drop-down box, and you can donate to any of those things that we have on there. Also, just want to remind people that we're still meeting on Wednesday nights at the coffee house, and this is and Marita still has a class on Wednesday night. And different people like to do different things, and so it's good to keep this community together, and that's what we try to do. And the Wednesday night thing and the Thursday night class they're both different, but we connect with people. And so when people have a bad day, they can either come to one of those classes or not classes, events, and it's been really good. That way we're connected with people. We know what's going on in their life, and when they have a bad day, sometimes they come and they feel a whole lot better when they leave. So just wanted to pass that on. Also, we're passing around a sign-up sheet for the Christmas party. We just want to know about how many people are going to be here. Now, if you came to the Halloween party and you had a good time, wait till you see the Christmas party. So the events people met Thursday night, and they have some really good ideas for that. So, but we need to have an idea of how many people are going to be there so we can make some plans. One thing we will tell you, that you don't have to worry about buying a gift this year, because we're doing away with the gift buying for the Christmas parties. That seemed to put a lot of stress on people, so we don't want to do that anymore. So anyhow, we hope that the Christmas party is going to be on December the 9th. And so anyhow, we just want to kind of have an idea of how many people are coming, and then we'll talk more about that, and it'll be a big surprise when you come that night. So I think I covered everything. Did you have anything, Maria? Well, one other thing I did want to say, I know that we say prayers for everybody, but I just wanted to say that there's a lot of people in church that are struggling with different issues, whether it be health or emotional or other things, and we don't always get a chance to talk to all of them. I know I talk to a lot of people during the week, and I see a lot of them, but sometime this week or next week, just get out of your regular box and maybe call somebody and invite them to coffee or something, because you never know. You look around you, everybody in this church probably has an issue that we don't know about. So, to show a little kindness, and you never know, just calling that one person, even if you don't do anything except call and say hi, will maybe make a big difference in their life.
Hey,
You
Jan.
said I had issues.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, and the story that I wanted to tell you about is very simple, but it has something to say about the effects that music can have on people. And in this case, I was playing with a 4-piece group, and we were on stage. We were playing for a large company, and they were having before the meal,
Blessing?
Are you talking about drinks or something like that?
Dr. Lau.
They were having drinks or something before the meal?
Well, anyway, they were having cocktails before the meal. And so when they sat down for dinner, they instructed us for the band to stop playing. And so we did. So we all left the stage, and a woman came up to me, and I didn't know her personally, but she was looked to be in her 50s, early 60s, and she walked up to me. She motioned to me to come closer, and so I came. I didn't know what she wanted, but she came up to me. She grabbed me by my coattails here, or my jacket, and she looked up at me and she says, "I think I'm in love with you." And all of this because of the song that I had played. It was the last song that I had played with that band, and she heard it. And apparently it triggered some very strong feelings in her past that she never thought that she'd feel again. But the music seemed to have the effect of bringing a lot of memories back to her. Well, following her, right behind her was a fellow, I don't know his name, but he's a good-looking man. He was over 6 feet tall, and he was grinning because he'd seen this sort of thing happen before. And he was just accepting it for what it was. But to me, that her walking up to me, she didn't know me from Adam personally, and the music, the tunes that I played here, when she heard that, it triggered some very strong memories. And I don't know, what do you say? What do you say to a person who does that to you? Walks up to you and grabs you and says, "I think I'm in love with you." Thank you very much, Bruce.
Good story, Eddie. Thank you. All right, let's sing hymn number 40. It's in Every One of Us.